Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 1, questioned by the sages. Today's text is 10. Prayinalpaipa saubhya kalo asmin yuge jana mandasmanna matayo mandabhagya hupatrita. O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. The devotees of the Lord are always anxious for spiritual improvement of the general public. When the sages of Naimisaranya analyzed the state of affairs of the people in this age of Kali, they foresaw that men would live short lives. In Kali Yuga, the duration of life is shortened not so much because of insufficient food, but because of irregular habits. By keeping regular habits and eating simple food, any man can maintain his health. Overeating or sense gratification, overdependence on another's mercy, and artificial standards of living sap the very vitality of human energy. Therefore, the duration of life is shortened. The people of this age are also very lazy, not only materially, but in the matter of self-realization. The human life is especially meant for self-realization. That is to say, man should come to know what he is, what the world is, and what the supreme truth is. Human life is a means by which a living entity can end all miseries of material existence, which arise of the hard struggle for existence, and by which he can return to Godhead, his eternal home. But due to a bad system of education, men have no desire for self-realization. Even if they come to know about it, they unfortunately become victims of misguided teachers. In this age, men are not only victims of different political creeds and parties, but also of many different types of sense gratificatory divisions, namely cinemas, sports, gambling clubs, mundane libraries, bad associations, smoking, drinking, cheating, pilfering, bickering, and so on. Their minds are always disturbed and full of anxieties due to so many different engagements. In this age, many unscrupulous men manufacture their own religious faith, which are not based on any revealed scriptures, and very often people who are addicted to sense gratification are attracted by such institutions. Consequently, in the name of religion, so many sinful acts are being carried on, and the people in general have neither peace of mind nor health of body. The student brahmachari communities are no longer being maintained, and householders do not observe the rules and regulations of the Grihastha ashram. Consequently, so-called vanaprasthas and sannyasis who come out of such Grihastha ashrams are easily deviated from the rigid path. In the Kali Yuga, the whole atmosphere is charged with faithlessness. Men are no longer interested in spiritual values. Material sense gratification is now the standard of civilization. For the maintenance of such material civilization, man has formed complex nations and communities, and there is a constant strain of hot and cold wars between these different groups. It has become very difficult, therefore, to raise the spiritual standard due to the present distorted values of human society. The sages of Naimisaranya are anxious to disentangle all fallen souls, and here they are seeking the remedy from Srila Sutta Goswami. Mukam karoti vatalam bhangum langate krimyat kripatamaham mande Sri Gurum Dinacharanam Vanchakalpa tarupyascha kripasindhavivacha pacitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasavi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So over here we have short lifespans, and in Kali Yuga we live for 100 years, but that even is very rare now in Kali Yuga. In previous ages people were living 1,000 years in Dvara Yuga, and 10,000 years in Trita Yuga, and 100,000 years in Satya Yuga. But in Kali Yuga it's only 100 years, and very, very rarely do people become that age. So this is due to the way Kali Yuga is set up, that is ruled by the demons. So no yajnas are really performed, very rarely are yajnas performed. And so many sinful activities are going. The leaders are constantly trying to degrade society by putting poison in our food, by putting poison in the water, with environmental catastrophes. So many things have made that we live very short lives, and even the quality of life is becoming less and less. I was recently in the hospital with my arm, and just seeing all these people coming in and out constantly. And there's one hospital in one little part of Denmark. There's so many hospitals in Denmark, there's so many hospitals in the world, and they're all filled with sick people. There's so many old people homes, all filled with old people who cannot take care of themselves anymore. So things are just becoming so degraded, right? That the quality of life is just becoming less and less. So this is, we all Prayinal Payapar Shaubhya, very, very meager lifespans. And then here we are Manda, we are lazy. Kali Yuga is, Prabhupada mentioned here, it's not only people are materially lazy, but they are lazy for self-realization. And how often do we see people when we're out distributing books and when we're talking with people who are very interested? I'm not saying it's not happening, but it's very rare. It's very rare to meet people who, wow, tell me more. Or people coming to us in the street and say, hey, I want some of these books. We have to persuade people, and hey, you need these books, and still it's very difficult to get just one person and two persons to take the books. So people have become very lazy, they don't really know. And if you ask people about their philosophy, where does everything come from? I don't mind, it doesn't matter. Right? I'm just existing. So this is laziness of mind. There's no inquisitiveness, there's no atata brahmadigyasa. Where do we come from? What is the meaning of life? What is the philosophy? Why are we here? How do I become happy? Of course they're trying to find out how to become happy, but they are misguided, as Prabhupada says here, by misguided teachers. They are misguided to believe that happiness is in money, or happiness is in mundane facilities, whatever we speak of, fast cars or motorbikes or beautiful women or handsome men. So we think the happiness is there, but that happiness is, even though nature of devotion say there is some happiness in sense gratification, but it's not real in the sense that it is very, very short-lived. It's here and gone. It's chanchalam, as Bhagavad Gita says. It's here and it's gone, it's here and it's gone. And then there's constant pursuit of the happiness that is constantly running away from them, because it's, like Prabhupada said, it's like sand in your hand, it just runs through the fingers. You try to keep it, but it's constantly running through your fingers. So this is to have happiness in this world. We are constantly seeking more and more happiness, but ending up just more and more distressed. Sukhaya dukhaya mokshaya sankalpa iha karminaha sadabnati haya dukham anihaya sukha vritaha. That Prahlad Maharaj is saying, people that are constantly trying sukhaya dukhaya mokshaya. They're from mokshaya, they're trying to come free from dukkha, and they're constantly in pursuit of sukha. But they're not finding sukha dukkha mokshaya sankalpa iha karminaha sadabnati haya duya. All they have to do is simply stop trying. He's saying, all you have to do is stop trying, searching for happiness in the material world, then it's there. Because the nature of the soul is searching for happiness. So if we stop searching for happiness in the material world, we'll search for happiness in the spiritual sphere. And that's where it is. Hopefully we should know that. So this constant quest for happiness is inherent in all living entities because it's our nature. but it's not where people try to find it. It's not in the money, it's not in all these facilities. Actually, it's often the opposite. That the more money people get or the more facility people get, the more distressed they become, because more anxiety. So all this anxiety is there because of this constant strive for sense gratification, which is here and it's gone, here and it's gone. Prabhupada says we cannot live without sense gratification. We need sense gratification. He says if we're living like Raghunath Das Goswami, we would die. Just trying to emulate him, and we would die. We wouldn't be able to, because the nature of the living entity is enjoyment. And until we are very spiritual advanced, we need some so-called material enjoyment. But there we have within our reach. We have prasadam, which is very enjoyable. We have kirtans, which is very enjoyable. And we also we have like enjoyment of the senses. We see something beautiful. We can try to relate it to Krishna. So our duty is to try to relate everything we do in our quest for happiness to Krishna. And then gradually, more and more direct Krishna consciousness in there, and less the indirect way of in our pursuit of happiness. So people are lazy, manda, and mostly spiritual lazy. Manda sumanda matayo, and they are unfortunate, misdirected. Manda sumanda matayo, they are misdirected. And that again, we have all our leaders, all our authorities throughout our lives. I don't know if your parents were teaching you anything about Krishna consciousness as growing up. Right? Most likely, often it's the opposite. They're saying just because it's natural for the soul, it's natural for all living entities to inquire, what happens when we die? Children, they have all these questions. What happened when we die? What happens? How do we become happy? What happens? And normally the answer from the parents would be something, don't think about that, it's not worth it. And the whole educational system, school teachers, same, brainwashing people. We are coming from the apes, they're coming from monkeys, and they are our forefathers. And the whole thing is just manifested, all universes and existence just manifested by a big bang. So they're just, all these authorities we had throughout our lives are misguiding us. So we have these misguiding teachers who's constantly dragging us away from Krishna. And that is the plan of the demons. They are making these teachers or authorities in our lives, making society and all educational systems in such a way that people are misguided. And I would like to read just a little part of, we mentioned before, this article of the Putanas by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and just read a little part of that article because it's very relevant here. So this is not in the beginning, this is in the middle of the article. He says, Putana is the slayer of all infants. The baby, when he or she comes out of the mother's womb, falls at once into the hands of the pseudo teachers of religion. These teachers are successful in forestalling the attempt of the good preceptor, whose help is never sought by the atheists of this world at the baptisms of their babies. This is ensured by all arrangement of all established churches of the world. They have been successfully only in supplying watchful putanas for effecting the spiritual instructions of persons from the moments of their birth with the cooperation of their worldly parents. No human contrivance can prevent these putanas from obtaining possession of the pulpits, the raised platforms where they in churches, the vyasasans in the churches. This is due to the general prevalence of atheistic disposition in the people of this world. The church that has the best chance of survival in this damned world is that of atheism under the convenient guise of theism. The churches has always proved the staunchest upholders of the grossest form of worldliness, from which even the worst non-ecclesiastical criminals are found to recoil. So what he's saying is, the moment the infant comes out of the mother's womb, he's immediately given over to the putanas by their own parents, with their consent. So immediately they're taught, immediately when they can eat, they get meat in their mouth, right? They're forced practically to eat meat, degrading their consciousness from the very beginning, and everything they can do to make them identify with their body is the plan of the putanas. So we know putana is symbolizing the false guru. So the false guru Putana came into Vrindavan as he wanted to kill Krishna. So these putanas sent by Kamsas of this world, they are sent into the homes of people, or sent into the children are sent into the schools where these putanas are the teachers. And there they are systematically brainwashing the children by all these bad teachers. And he says nothing can really stop them, because this is the nature of the world now. In Kali Yuga, everything is so degraded. So nothing can really stop these putanas from having the Vyasa sons of this world. People are listening to them. So we hear politicians, we hear all the heroes of the day's world, all the leaders of the day's world are practically putanas, who is employed by the Kamsas of this world to degrade society, to degrade all his children. So that's why things are going so fast downhill in Kali Yuga, because from the moment people are born, they are degraded. From the moment they are born, they are degraded. And that goes on throughout the whole educational system. And that's why we hear it's so rare that people take to Krishna consciousness, because it is very difficult. Because normally people just follow. It's the nature of most people to just follow what they're told. That's a sutra. And we know in Kali Yuga, everyone is practically a sutra. So a sutra, he's just following what he is told. So it's very, very, very rare that people, especially children, really stand up and take their own decisions and think, is that real? Can this be that this is just me, this temporary, this lump of dull matter? Can that be me? Or is there more to life? What is the meaning of life? Are we just here for a flickering second in time, in universal time, and just we take birth and we die and that's it? Or is there more to life? So for all, even in Kali Yuga, for all children, this is natural questions. But they are encouraged to ask these questions. And gradually Kali Yuga therefore becomes more and more degraded, which is part of Krishna's plan. Because this is Kali Yuga. So this is part of Krishna's plan, that in Kali Yuga it's very easy to perform a devotional service. It's like Prabhupada says, a child can do it. All we have to do is chant Hare Krishna and take prasadam, chanting, dancing, and feasting. But in Kali Yuga, even that is difficult. Even that is difficult. So due to this laziness of spiritual life, that comes from, because also Prabhupada says here people are materially lazy, and that's of course right in most cases. But we hear people working 2 jobs, or people being self-employed, working like 12 hours or even more every day, because they're so attracted to money. So they dedicate their whole lives just to get more and more money, because they think that's where happiness is. But these people are normally totally spiritually lazy, because that's their only goal in life, that's just getting more money. And then we have people in between that's a little inquisitive but often give up, because whenever they seek these teachers, they are misguiding them. These teachers, they immediately get into, as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said here, that the churches are the staunchest upholders of these putanas. They are in the churches are led by these people. So that's why we are very fortunate in the Krishna conscious movement that it's not yet so contaminated. But that does not mean that it's not trying to creep in, that the Putanas are not within the movement, and the Kangsas are not trying to take over the movement they are. So we just need to be strong in our Krishna consciousness, and be strong in our in Prabhupada's desire to not change anything and just keep it in the way Prabhupada made it. And in that sense, if we keep that, then it'll be very, very difficult for them to come in and discredit the movement. But if we're not, then the Putanas will take over the whole society, all over the world. And then there's no hope for Kali Yuga at all. ISKCON is really, the Krishna conscious movement is really the only hope for this society, because it's still the purity is there, because Prabhupada was here recently. And Prabhupada made everything available in his books. Prabhupada said, maybe the temples may go, the devotees may leave, but my books will remain. So everything is there already in Prabhupada's books. So even if everything breaks down, if just the books are maintained, then everything can go on, can start again. So people are short-lived, they are lazy, Sumanda Matayo, they are misguided, and Manda Bhagya, they are very unfortunate, they are unlucky. So in Kali Yuga we are very unfortunate because of Kali Yuga, because of our lack of intelligence. So all our activities are meant to degrade. There's only one thing, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, there's two realities in this world, the Jiva and the holy name. Everything else is an illusion. And people are so unlucky that they have no insight into this at all. They're just living their boring lives day after day, getting up, going to work, going home, eating, sleeping, going to work, eating, sleeping, right? Boring lives with no purpose. So naturally people become frustrated. And that's why we see again, we spoke about hospitals and old people's homes, but we didn't speak about the mental hospitals. And this is the last point that Vyasadeva is mentioning here, you can say, the sages are mentioning, that people are very, very disturbed in Kali Yuga. People are very disturbed. And we know the disturbance is coming from three sources: Adi Daivika, Adi Bhautika, and Adi Atmika. So it's coming from nature, or from the demigods, in form of cold or heat, or too much heat or too much cold, and natural catastrophes, and etc. And it's coming from Adibhautika, or the living entities, like mosquitoes or other humans often, especially those who are close and near to us. They can give so much pain. And the worst one is the mind. And that's why we see so many people on these psychopharmaca, these happy pills, and living in these hospitals only for mental disease. Prabhupada was once told about a person, he was a psychiatrist, and Prabhupada said, "What is a psychiatrist?" And they tried to explain Prabhupada, he's a doctor, and then ultimately one said, he's dealing with crazy people, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, that means he's crazy. So people dealing with crazy people every day, what we become, what we associate with. So those who, again, it's Putanas coming in and trying to repair what other Putanas have done. But they are taught in such a way that their way of repairing is by numbing them more, by giving them more medicine, by restraining them more, instead of giving them love and care. Because it's completely unnatural to be sick. The body is by nature healthy. We know Prabhupada says material body means disease. But our nature is to be healthy. But it's only if we are living in a wrong way, or we are doing something wrong, it's due to karma, etc., then we get diseased. And mental diseases, why should people be mental diseased? If they know, again, if they have no clue what the meaning of life, if they have no clue there's a real solution, then naturally they become mental diseased. But if they know that we are all eternal spirit souls, living in the spiritual world with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and life is, every step is a dance, and every word is a song, and try to train that in this world, why should people be mental deranged? So we have the solution, Bhavausa Dutch, to Tamanopidama. We have the solution in Krishna consciousness, and that is why the sages are here saying, this is the problem we have. People are lazy, they're misguided, they are always disturbed, they have very short lifespan, and they are misguided. So what to do about that? That's really what they're saying here. We have these problems, what to do about it? They're saying people have short lives. So please tell us the essence. You'll get shortly, there was also before that said, we just need the essence of all the scriptures, because we have very short lives, very meager intelligence, very, very lazy. So give us just the essence, and that is Bhagavatam. So that's what we will hear now. Now we will hear Sutta Goswami's answers to, or comments to this. What to do about people who are in this dire position of being lazy, misguided, etc. So that we'll hear from now on from Sutta Goswami. Any comments or questions?
So, according to that essay from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, the Bhutanas, the asuras, the demons, are infiltrating all the different religions in order to destroy them ultimately. So how are they doing that? What's the main method of doing that?
It's mainly by perverting or destroying the scriptures and destroying the real Siddhanta. While they say, like, now Bhaktisiddhanta, he is mentioned Christianity, the churches. Then what are they saying? That karma does not exist, reincarnation does not exist. And then when people, because everybody will ultimately, if they search or they approach some religion, they will see what is the philosophy. Like what is the Prabhupada saying? Philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So they will try to see how does it connect? Is it sane? Is the philosophy sane? If it's not, then people will lose faith. So if you approach Christianity and you ask question to the preachers or to the preachers and they have no proper answers, then you will conclude God does not exist. That was actually in my as I grew up. I was searching for answers, constantly searching for answers, but I couldn't find any. And eventually I thought, then there cannot be any God, right? Because there's no philosophy to back it up. It doesn't make sense. I was asking questions like, if God is all good, then how can there be suffering in the world? Why are children dying and from starvation in Africa and all over the world? Why there's so much pain if God is all good? And they have no reasonable answer. But the easy answer is of course karma, reincarnation. Okay, but there's a law in nature to teach us how to behave properly, how to become Vaishnavas and be able to be educated in such a way that we can live in a cultured society like the spiritual world is, of course. So we are in a hospital here in the material world, teaching us how to become sane again. So this is the real mental hospital we're speaking. This is the real mental hospital where we are trying to become sane again. But if these Putana teachers, they go in and they make it unbelievable, make religion unbelievable by changing the philosophy or taking things out of context, then gradually people lose faith. So this is all planned, right? The Romans, they perverted the Christian faith, and according to this nice book by Dhaneshwar Guru, that it's like the original Christians, they were Vaishnavas, following four regulatory principles, chanting and etc., and having a strict sadhana. But then they were infiltrated by the Romans, and that's what they gradually did. They took out karma, reincarnation, they made the philosophy unbelievable. And then from there on it's just degradation. People become atheist. Naturally, people become atheist if there's no philosophy to back up the religion. So our duty is to change that around, to tell them there is actually a proper philosophy to back up the religion. There is a proper way to understand who we are, what is the meaning of life, and how to go back home, back to Godhead. And for that mission Prabhupada came and taught us all this knowledge. So this is the plan of the Putana, simply to degrade everything in such a way that people will just give up and just search for happiness in the material world. End up more and more degraded and more frustrated.
So how do you recognize these demons, these infiltrators in the religions?
In their philosophy, mostly. In their philosophy. Ask them what they believe. Ask them, see what they are teaching. Then we see like what people really are. And often they are often not the demons as such. They're just misguided, as we hear here, they're misguided in society. So they're just misguided by the conscious. And then they become unwillingly to become Putanas. Because they are frustrated. So they start preaching their own philosophy. Parents to their children, most parents are their children's well-wishers. But they're just bewildered. They don't know what is right and wrong. They have no understanding. So in this way you can always, if you want to know a person, ask him questions. Ask him what he believes. Ask him, hear what he's preaching. Then you can easily see here's a demon, or one who is influenced by the demons, or here is a sane person. Just ask what he believes. Yes.
To identify people who are the well-wishers of people in general and the Vaishnava community, wouldn't it be plausible that we should look for those who are true to Srila Prabhupada?
Those who are true to
Srila Prabhupada. I'm thinking of the phrase that kill guru, kill self. Some disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they may be very well situated and they're speaking very nicely, but do they glorify Srila Prabhupada? Is Srila Prabhupada the forefront of their heart's temple, or is it themselves that are taking the worship? In fact, can you comment on this?
Yes, of course. Again, same principle. See what people are teaching. See what people are living. See the example they are setting. Yat archerite sisters, tatat eva terotyanam, sayat pramanam kurute lokas taranamatsante. Whatever a great man perform, common men will follow. So you can see in our society also who is really following Prabhupada. Are they following these Putanas within the movement, or are they following what Prabhupada really taught his disciples? So we should just be intelligent. We shouldn't. The tendency is, again, because I believe and we believe for sure that this is the movement in Kali Yuga. This is really Prabhupada, what Prabhupada brought us is really the solution. But the tendency is to just stop thinking and stop following blindly. And Prabhupada discouraged that very much in Bhagavad Gita, that we shouldn't follow blindly. So we should constantly be alert and be aware. Am I, in our own Krishna consciousness, am I making progress? What am I doing wrong? Where am I at? Right? Finding out where am I from Shraddha to Prema, and what is the next step, and what is my hurdle now that keeps me in that area where I'm now and stopping me from progressing. And gradually in a way that we can easily maintain, we should gradually become closer and closer to the purity, and closer to following Prabhupada's instructions in full. and then see people who are not. If they are putanas, even if they have a glamorous title or a sannyas stick or whatever, it's not really what makes the person. We have the tendency is to see the externals and not really going internal and see is this person really living up to Prabhupada's directions and Prabhupada's liturgy and ideas of what a sannyasi should be or what a guru should be. So we are all gurus, and it's not necessarily it's only like we can have gurus in our lives. Doesn't need to be an official relationship. It's just like we can take the gurus we see fit that this person is really more advanced than me. So and he's trying his level best to follow Prabhupada's instructions. Let's follow him. Yeah. So we shouldn't do things blindly. That's the essence. We should use our intelligence.
Do you think it's possible for Jiva in Kali Yuga to fulfill their spiritual purpose and go back home to Godhead if they do not follow the given prescriptions of Srila Prabhupada, the morning program, evening program, 16 rounds, and association with devotees? Do you think it's possible to go by yourself, reading a little bit here and there, and taking, karmic association very often, and just go with the flow? Is it possible?
Is that a loaded question? Yeah, of course. Is it possible to be Krishna conscious without the association of devotees? It might be possible, but it's extremely difficult. It's difficult when you have good association, but it's extremely difficult if you don't. So that we should seek, right? And we hear that in all the scriptures, that it's first verses in Nectar of Instruction speak mainly about that, right? Association with devotees and avoid the non-devotees. Yeah. So we should not think so much, can I survive by doing that? We should think, where do I strive most? Where do I make most advancement? So that is without a doubt in good association and where devotees they are coming together and following Prabhupada's system with morning program, evening program, and Prabhupada's sandwich. Yeah. Is because when we hear in the morning and we hear in the evening, like more the tendency will be more to that will be our meditation throughout the day. So if you're not hearing every day, like Prabhupada, what is it Prabhupada says? If you stop reading my books, all the books. If you don't read all my books, paraphrasing, then you'll simply eat, sleep. As Prabhupada says some more, but then you'll gradually fall down if you don't read all my books. So this should be our daily sadhana. We hear in the morning and preferably hear also our own reading time in the middle of the day, and then we come together again in the evening and hear again, sing and chant and hear. And then gradually, Cheto Darpanamatana, the process works. But with patience and constant endeavor, Utsahan Nishtaya Dharya, if these three, Utsahan enthusiasm and constant endeavor and Dharya patience, then gradually reach at one point we will see sense gratification will no longer be attractive if Krishna is not involved. So gradually that process will work if we follow the process Prabhupada given us every day.
So a little bit like this, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that one man, he without any regular school or any qualifications through the educational system, he was awarded with the PhD and honor degree. But we shouldn't calculate that this is a possibility.
Yeah.
Certainly not.
Yeah, again, of course, it is a possibility because it is in Nectar of Devotion that it is a way you can get Krishna's mercy just by mercy, just without really endeavoring. Yeah. But it's Prabhupada gives that example. You said that it's extremely rare. Yeah. So, is that the example Prabhupada gave of a tortoise in the ocean and just there's a small board there with a little hole, And this tortoise in this huge ocean, that the chance is just hitting that hole and getting its head on. I think Prabhupada did the example in this connection. So yeah, but if we are not lazy, and this is really, we are getting warned here what we should not do, how we can avoid these pitfalls, not being lazy in our spiritual life, and not following the pseudo teachers that is the put on us, and not being trying to live in such a way that we are not disturbed. So, okay, I think we stop here. Randavat Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Prabhupada ki.
Jai.